Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here and welcome back to another YouTube video on the channel. And today guys, here we are for our AFL 2022 round previews. Yes, another round previews here. Round 21 AFL 2022 preview is what we have in store. Got some massive segments coming up in this, previewing every game, some of the games, in my opinion, that are the best games to watch on the weekend, and also my predicted ladder by the end of the round. But before we go ahead and hop into things, we're going to be checking out last round, round 20. What did I have? Well, we were treated in with some absolute rippers. Feel free to go and watch 3-game match reviews or the round review to go and see more in-depth information on these games. The Demons won by 46 over the Dockers on Friday night. And then Collingwood got over the Power by 6. Sydney got over the Giants by 73. Saints over the Hawks by 12. The Cats got over the Doggies by 28. The Crows got over the Blues in an upset by 29. The Suns over the Eagles by 3. The Tigers came back from 42 points to beat the Lions by 7 at the MCG. And the Bombers win over North Melbourne by 48 points. So that is how round 20 played out. Round 21 round preview. Let's go ahead and hop right into things. Alright, round 21 round preview starts now. And on Friday night, it is Melbourne taking on Collingwood at the MCG. Looks to be an absolute ripping game of footy. And I think we will get exactly that. Now, some people have said it's going to be close. Some people have said it's going to be a smashing. Now, look, Collingwood, they've been very good in the past 10 weeks. They've won their past 10 games. And have gone a lot further than what a lot of people expected them to in this season. I don't think anyone predicted them to be inside the top 4, let alone the top 8. So, currently sitting in third, and this shapes up to be, well, the Queen's Birthday rematch, the Big Freeze rematch, second versus third. It's going to be a really exciting game at the MCG on a Friday night. But Collingwood's form recently has been amazing. Now, they have only won the close games, though their percentage isn't great, but they've been managing to find a way to hang on in the close games, winning, well, pretty much their last 10 by a margin of somewhere near that. I mean, they've been able to win a lot of close games in their last 10 wins, and they always manage to hold on every single time. They always do it, and their win-loss record in close games is a very good one. Melbourne last week smashed the Dockers at Optus Stadium. That's going to give them a lot of confidence heading into this game. That's the exact confidence that they need, and they're going to be good going into this game. They're going to be having confidence, and they are still one of the premiership favourites this year. Now, it is second versus third on a Friday night. This one can really go either way. Collingwood and Melbourne, both they can be unpredictable teams sometimes as well. I mean, every team can be unpredictable. That's just the way footy works. But on the Friday night, I have the Demons taking out this game by 7 points. I just feel like they're the better of the sides. I just feel like when it comes to maturity and experience, it'll be the Demons that will outclass the Pies and end their winning streak. Hawthorn versus Gold Coast is the first game on the Saturday at UTAS Stadium. 13th versus 11th looks to be another really exciting contest. We've got some really good contests coming up in round 21. But yeah, it looks to be really exciting. Now, the only thing that does change this game for me is that it is going to be played at UTAS Stadium. And how the Suns go down there is going to be another question. It's going to be an interesting question. And yeah, one that's going to be interesting to see on the weekend for sure, because I don't know how the Suns are going to go down there, and I probably don't trust them down there either at UTAS. It can be a hard place to play in Tasmania, and the Hawks do know the ground pretty well, but have also put some shocking performances down there of their own as well. But 13th versus 11th, Hawthorn this year haven't been too bad. They're probably lower than what that they've actually been pretty good in the past few weeks. Last week's versus St Kilda wasn't great, and for Gold Coast last week versus who would have it been? I'll have to remember who it was. It would have been versus. Let me go and check. Last week versus West Coast for Gold Coast, they managed to just hold on in an absolute thriller. So it does, again, just points the Hawks will win this game. So I said the Hawks by 13 in an absolute ripper in a low-scoring game at UTAS Stadium. Giants versus Essendon at Giants Stadium is the second Saturday afternoon game. And These two teams do have relatively close encounters, or at least some of the few that I remember. They've had some very close encounters. Giants Stadium proves to be a high-scoring ground, and I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be a low-scoring contest at Giants Stadium. Now, the Giants sit 16th on the ladder. The Bombers sit 14th. The Bombers, their turnaround to the year has been something really good, I reckon. They've had a really good turnaround to the year. I think they've been really good. Their first, 10 or so weeks were horrible, but they've actually made an okay season now, have Essendon, and can really push up for 13th or even fight for 12th and try and take it away from a Gold Coast or a Port Adelaide. So they still do have plenty of places to go up the ladder if the opportunity does happen or occur. Now, I think Gold Coast, they probably won't overtake Gold Coast, but they can overtake Port Adelaide. That can happen, and Hawthorn as well. But again, have to get the points here. The Giants, they've been so disappointing in the last, 5 or so weeks. They've been absolutely horrible. Haven't been able to give up a lot. Haven't really put any sort of performance together. They haven't been competitive, really. That's the best way to describe this team in the past few weeks. They've been very poor, which points to me saying that Essendon win the game by 11 in a low-scoring contest. The Doggies and the Dockers play at Marvel Stadium on the Saturday twilight. Now, it's going to be a really interesting game. The Dockers, they want to hunt for the top 4. And the Doggies, they want to hunt for the top 8. Now, this is game on. We know the Western Bulldogs and the Dockers, both two very good sides at Marvel, but the Western Bulldogs, you go back a couple of weeks ago, actually, to round 19, where they did beat the Demons at this ground, which does put a little bit more trust into this side. And they have been pretty okay, I guess, this season. But yeah, the Western Bulldogs, they know Marvel very well. They play at one of the best teams in the competition at the ground. And the Doggies last week, they played the Cats at Cardinia Park, which is always a tough venue to go down to for the Western Bulldogs. It's always a tough venue to go down to no matter which team you are. And they played a pretty good first half, but dropped off in the third quarter, where they let the Cats get on a rampage, which is one thing that you cannot let Fremantle do, because they are a good side that can really rampage whenever they want. They've done it in third quarters a lot, so that is a little bit of a danger sign there for the Western Bulldogs. They cannot let the Dockers rampage out, because the Cats, they kicked 8 goals in the third quarter, I believe it was, and then the Dogs had lost the game at three-quarter time. So the main thing is here is that they cannot let the Dockers get on a rampaging run, because they've been able to do that multiple times this year, and it's always led to a win for the Fremantle Dockers if they can get on a rampage run. So the Doggies, they cannot let that happen. The Dockers last week were very disappointing versus Melbourne, one of their worst performances of the season. So they'll be looking to bounce back from that. I think this is going to be a really close game, but I said the Doggies by 19. I said both teams play Marvel well, but I just feel like the Doggies, they know the ground a little bit better. First of 2 Saturday nights is the Cats squaring off with the Saints at GMHBA Stadium. The Cats sit first on the ladder and the Saints sit 8th on the ladder. Now, this is a really big game for both these two clubs. The Cats, they've won 10 in a row and are in some good form, especially at Cardinia Park. And they'll also be playing West Coast at this ground in round 23. So the hopes are definitely high for the Cats, and the Saints and the Eagles are probably two reasonably easier opponents to play at Cardinia Park. When it's Cardinia Park, you can't really tip against the Cats, because they're just so strong. The Dockers did manage to beat them down there earlier this season, but apart from that, it's a really tough ground to go and play at. One of the hardest road trip in footy is the road trip to Geelong. The Saints, well, look, they've been disappointing this year. At one stage, they looked like they were going to make top 4, and they've really flattened off. They did have a bit of an easier start to the year and a harder back end, and playing some harder teams twice for the Saints. But again, it has to start now, and they have to get a win because their run home is a tough one. But again, they've been disappointing, and I just don't feel like they're going to make the 8 because of their run home. Now, in this game, tip the Cats. The Cats by, I think it was 48. I just think they'll be way too strong and will smash the Saints down at Cardinia Park. Second Saturday nighter is Port Adelaide versus Richmond at the Adelaide Oval. Now, this is a massive, massive, massive game. Now, Port Adelaide, their season is over. I mean, it's mathematically alive, but, really, I don't think they're going to make finals now. But, yeah, got very interesting last 3 weeks coming up at Port Adelaide. But Port Adelaide versus Richmond, Saturday night, Adelaide Oval, 12th versus 9th. Now, look, Richmond, they were good last week. Now, they were horrible in quarters 1 and 2, but in the second half, they managed to make a brilliant 42-point comeback. But you're not always going to be able to rely on that, so they cannot really pit themselves into a position like that for the rest of the year, because it does get pretty scary when you go down by that. But yeah, Port Adelaide, they've been very good at the Adelaide Oval this year, so that is one thing that does sway the tip. This is going to be one of the 50-50 games of the round as well. But again, 12th versus 9th. These two teams have been unpredictable at times this year. You don't know when they're going to play their absolute best footy. Richmond, they've been disappointing at times, so have Port Adelaide. So if one team comes out disappointing, well, then it will go the other team's way. I think we have a really good contest here on Saturday night. Port Adelaide, for me, by 14 points. So now onto the Sunday games. We are running a little bit behind schedule, so I'm probably going to have to cut this a little bit short. I might not get the biggest in-depth preview for these Sunday games. But North Melbourne versus Sydney. North are 18th, Sydney are 4th. North been horrible in the past couple of weeks. Look, they were good in rounds 18 and 19, I think it was, when they came close to Collingwood and beat Richmond. But besides that, they've never looked good. Last week was just a real brutal check. Oh, sorry, it would have been 17 and 18 because round 19 and 20 versus Hawthorn and Essendon, 2 games they probably could have even competed in. They were horrible, so again, they're not going to be even coming close to the 4th place Swans. Even though it's at Marvel, I feel like the Swans will get an easy smashing win, and they will win by, I said 74, I think. I think this is going to be a really big win for the Swans. Nice percentage booster for them, and keep their hopes going for a top 4 finish. So now to perhaps one of the biggest games of the round, it could be Brisbane versus Carlton at the Gabba. Now, doesn't seem like an exciting matchup, and it probably won't be. But the stakes of this game are high. Now, Brisbane last week were poor against Richmond. They let a 42-point lead slip and choked the biggest loss of the year so far. And Carlton didn't even try against Adelaide. Adelaide really came at them physically in a legal way, and that is how they lost, and were very disappointing. And this is the two teams. This is going to be the clash of the two teams that were really poor last week. So they'll both be looking for redemption. They'll both be hungry. But again, at the Gabba, it's just way too hard to go against Brisbane. So I'm tipping Brisbane. I think they'll get it done comfortably. After what Carlton showed last week, it's back at the Gabba for the Lions. So they're probably going to be big winners in this game and try and get back into the top 4 for them. West Coast versus Adelaide is the final game of the round at Optus Stadium. 17th versus 15th. Probably not going to be the most exciting matchup, but if you're still looking for a game that could be a close one, this is another reliable one, I would say. I think we've got a close game here, really another 50-50. West Coast 17th, Adelaide 15th. Both teams showed really good signs of improvement. The Eagles almost beat the Suns at Metricon. They just fell short, however. It was a really good showing. They put on 104 points. But again, they just went too little too late. And the Crows were fantastic against the Blues. They brought the pressure. And if they can do that again this week, they will win. But my tip is Adelaide by 8. That is how I've tipped it. Now, going back, we've got a couple more things to get through. So my tips, Melbourne, Hawthorn, Essendon, Western Bulldogs, Geelong, Port Adelaide, Sydney, Brisbane and Adelaide. So those are my tips, and now games to watch. So I normally would pick out 4, and let's just go ahead and pick out 4. So I'm going to say Melbourne Collingwood. It's going to be a mouth-watering Friday night clash. I'm going to say Port Adelaide Richmond. I'm also going to say Western Bulldogs Fremantle, and I'm going to say either Hawthorn Gold Coast or West Coast Adelaide would be my final pick. I think we got some really exciting games, but I think if I had to pick one, it would be West Coast Adelaide. Yes, it does. Yes, it is my team, but I still think that we have a pretty good game brewing there in the West. So that's the round preview. We'll go ahead and have a look at the ladder as it stands real quick before we go and have a look at my predicted ladder. So the ladder as it stands right now, the Cats sit on top of Game Clear of the Demons and the Pies, who are both on 56, will be playing it out on Friday night. Now, the loser of this game does have the potentiality to slip outside the top 4 as well. Sydney are in 4th. Brisbane are equal on 52 points with them. 50 points to the Dockers, who can still make the top 4. But if both Sydney and Brisbane win and they lose, it'll get tough for them. The Blues, They need to win one game to cement their spot in the finals. The Saints are a game behind them on 44 points with a tough run home. The Tigers are on 42 points, the Dogs are on 40 points, and the Suns are on 36. That is it who can make finals. Here's the lower part of the ladder from 12th down. But yeah, I think the Suns, it could be season over if they, well, it will be season over if they fail to beat the Hawks. And now time for my predicted ladder. So I have the Cats to be winning 11 in a row to go first, the Demons on second, Sydney in third, Brisbane in fourth. Collingwood are in fifth after this weekend, I think, because they would have. I feel like they'll lose to the Demons, but whoever loses out of Melbourne or Collingwood can end up being in this fifth spot if Brisbane beat Carlton. Fremantle, if they lose to the Western Bulldogs, they are in all sorts of trouble. They'll be in all sorts of trouble because they probably won't be able to make the top four. So their best bet, if they lose to the Western Bulldogs, is to make a home elimination final, which will really help them. Carlton sitting 7th, 12th, and 12 and 8. Really tough run home ahead of them. The Western Bulldogs 11 and 9 are in 8th, along with St Kilda, who are in 9th, 11 and 9 with a very poor percentage of 100.9. Tigers 10, 9 and 1 in 10th, and then I think Port Adelaide will jump skip Gold Coast, although for them it is already season over. So that is how I predict the ladder to be looking. And then I have Hawthorn 13th, Essendon 14th, 8 and 12. The Crows in 15th, 7 and 13. The Giants 5 and 15 and 16th, 2 and 18 for West Coast and North Melbourne. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. See you guys in another video on the channel. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Bye everyone. Flaming Footy out.